party in this room, I come not to praise Caesar. Now, everybody was commenting on my outfit today, and I say, man, this is my working clothes, okay? That's the way it is now. Actually, this is the way this administration intends to balance the budget. You didn't know. They're going to let all us senior guys, the silver tsunami, I might add, leave the government and then get consulting jobs with all of you and earn 3 times as much money, 50% of which will go into the taxes back to them, and they'll only pay 40% to us. So they win. I mean, you know, the government wins. This is how this administration is going to solve this problem. All the folks who have spoken here beforehand have known Ed for 20, 25 years, something like that. I've known Ed for 45 years. So we're going to talk about the early years. And if this approximates the truth, you'll understand. Many don't know Ed. Ed came from a very well-to-do family on Long Island. One of those towns, I don't know, Flatbush, Red Hook. There's so many homes out there in the Hampton, you just don't know where they, where they are. One of those towns. And Ed puts on this patina of being an Irishman. Actually, Ed is Latvian. He adopted the Irish connection in order to bond with his less well-off playmates. And he just said, well, I should be Irish. Okay. His name is actually not Ed, it's Melvin Shillbeck. He took the name Ed Marr. Marr, Shillbeck, go figure. I mean, language wasn't his forte. It is true, Ed did skip a year of school. Not recorded for his intellect, but rather for the sizable contribution his well-to-do family made to the local country day school where he was attending out there on Long Island. Little known fact. Ed felt the need to bond with his lessers, so he attended a small co-ed Catholic school in the boonies of Ohio called the University of Dayton, where he was immediately brushed by many, many fraternities. Not for his personality, which he didn't have, nor for his good looks, which he hadn't grown into yet, nor for his intellect, which I've already mentioned, but for his money. That's how we first met. George and Ed and I were all part of the same fraternity, and at Rush, he came up, hey, let me buy you a beer. So he bought George and I a beer, and 1 beer between the 2 of us. I figured, well, he's from New York, what the hell,
I thought it was because he ran the bowling alley.
Oh, there was a good reason, yeah. So anyway, Ed quickly tired of academia. Abruptly, I might add. Leave enough. Both the university and in the fraternity, which was an academic fraternity, of course, it wasn't really challenging enough for him. Dale remembers this, how challenging that school was. He wanted a challenge in his life, and the Vietnam War was in full flower. You remember that. That was the other unnecessary war given to us by a Texan. You remember that. A comment there. But instead of signing up for military service, Ed went into the Air Force. Where he became a controller, not that he isn't one already, but he became an air traffic controller in Southeast Asia, which, looking back, may well have been the pinnacle of his federal career. Ed returned to the States as a federal air traffic controller in Washington, D.C., and really kind of up to this point, life had been kind of tough for Ed. Bouncing around from here to there, but his luck was soon to change. he got hooked up with an old college friend. Not hooked up to, understand, that's my terminology, my age, not John's age, you know. Tony, who was also Latvian, I believe, and she also spoke Long Island. And because they both loved outdoor sports, they decided to join their old frat brothers for a skiing in Colorado. You know, we went out there, we all brought them all together, and there actually was never any sighting of Ed and Tony on the slopes. But they both had great stories about riding the chairlift and snow plowing the runs and taking lessons, and we were a little dubious when they kept telling us about how tough the bunny slopes were. We said, okay, maybe they're not really into the outdoor sports routine. Anyway, a few months later, they were married and living in a starter castle, as I recall, out there in Mount near Wolf Trap. I think it was about one room, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, today, all around that area, they do have starter castles. Then along comes the air traffic controller walkout, which Ed resisted. He really did, as long as he could. He just didn't want to go out, but I'm being very facetious here. But President Reagan fired them all, and Ed had to regroup. This was just about the time of the IT explosion, as you recall, at that time when things were just getting started. So due to Ed's limited intellectual capabilities, his stunted personality, his unfamiliarity with the English language, I mean, what you expect from somebody from Long Island, I mean, you know, a Latvian from Long Island, nonetheless. In 3 short years, he went from no job to vice president of a local IT firm. And that is the truth. It just goes to show you what family and money and connections can do. He has, as you found out earlier, lots of positions that he's held where he's really extended himself. But I think the one that he really feels the best about is leading the committee to rename Washington National Ronald Reagan Airport. That was the zenith of his. Anyway, all seriousness aside, yes, I hadn't known him for 45 years. We were as close can be, I guess, and he is an extremely successful person. I'm not a big favorite of Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's just not one of my favorites, but I did find something that I thought applied here. So to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a little bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social tradition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. And my friend, you have succeeded greatly.